Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider in a like, that subscribe, and maybe that cheeky little notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Careful Credit 4645 and says, am I the arsehole here for completely cutting off my wife from our finances because she wouldn't stop ordering takeout? I'm 41 years old and male. My wife is 39 years old. My wife doesn't work due to a minor disability. It's not as if she cannot work, but she complains of discomfort and exhaustion all the time. The discussion over her working basically ended 5 years ago, and I've completely given up on the prospect of her ever having a job again. Seeing as she doesn't even come close to qualifying for disability and brings in no income, we currently live entirely off my salary. I do not mind financially supporting her, but my wife's spending habits have gradually become more and more reckless. It began with her ordering takeout twice a week, and then that escalated into 3 times a week, and now she's ordering takeout nearly every day. This is all despite our fridge being stocked constantly. I do the shopping and I make sure to even keep our freezer full of things she would only have to microwave. Last month was a particularly heavy one for her. She spent $1,176 on delivery apps alone. We cannot afford this. There were several days that she ordered twice. I may have reacted harshly, but on Friday, I pulled money out of our savings, completely paid off the card, and then cancelled it. I then removed all the money from our joint account and funneled it into my own account. Apparently, my wife learned this when she tried to order takeout. She tried to call the company who explained the card had been cancelled. She texted me asking what had happened, and I responded that she was cut off. Well, when I walked in the door that evening, my wife was lying on the floor dramatically saying that she had low blood sugar. I told her she could eat any of the food we have in our fridge or freezer. I also noticed that she took the garbage out, probably for the first time in a decade. I'm surprised she even knew where the outdoor bin was. I can only assume she was disposing of the evidence of what she ate, as she was pretending to have not eaten. But I honestly don't care enough to dig through the garbage to find it. She was furious at me all weekend. Was what I did over the top? Over $1,000 a month on takeout. That seems like a huge amount to spend. I'm trying to think how I could get up to that amount buying takeout. I just converted that to pounds and then sort of divided it about my average local pizza place. It might not be pizza, but I just did it just for shits and giggles, basically. And that'd be like one every day for the month. That's 30 pizzas I could order with a couple of cheeky sides to go with it every day. Obviously, a very serious discussion needs to be had in your relationship. While spending this amount per month is absolutely huge, it also feels like there's a lot more going on in the background at the same time. Maybe that's just me, but first commenter says not the arsehole. $1,176 on takeout. That's a half a month's wages for me. No, this needs to stop, and the manipulation with the blood sugar thing is beyond overdramatic, and the fact that she took then garbage after years of not doing it proves she knows what she is doing. Another commenter says not the arsehole. Wow, your wife spent close to my food, fuel, entertainment, clothing budget for the month just on takeout. She needs to get a job, part-time at minimum. Why are you still married? OP comes in 9 days later and says 9 days ago, I made a post about how my unemployed wife had spent $1,176 on delivery apps in just a month. This is egregiously outside of what we can afford to spend on takeout. And since she didn't seem willing to stop, I cancelled our credit card and moved the money from our joint account into my own. For the following few days, my wife kept talking about how I was financially abusing her. She threw several tantrums despite apparently being severely malnourished, threatened violence, threw a bunch of the food we had in the fridge away to try and strong-arm me into letting her get takeout, and even tried to guess my bank account password a bunch of times. Sorry, my password isn't Taco Bell 123. That last one was how I learned if you try to guess someone's bank account password enough times, the bank will send them an automated email. But last Friday, the complaints and threats stopped. She seemed mostly back to normal. I figured she had given up. That was until today, which was garbage day. When I took the last bag out before taking the bin down to the curb, I discovered half a dozen fast food bags and other takeout containers in it. My wife wasn't supposed to have access to money. I had no idea how she was affording the food. I confronted her about it, and first she denied everything. I had to bring all of her fast food garbage in to get her ass to fess up. She had taken out a loan. Now, I thought she had borrowed money from a friend or a family member, but she had taken out one of those predatory payday loans. Before you ask, no, I had no idea how she was approved. Within the next hour, I froze my credit. I then drove her to the payday loan place, where I paid the loan off in cash. I will now have to dip further into my savings to pay the rent. I suppose in a certain way, cutting her off was successful. She didn't order takeout anymore. She just drove to the restaurants to pick up her food, for the low price of $20 for every $100 she borrowed, or $60 in fees in total. In addition, I told her that we would be getting divorced. So yeah, my marriage is over. I don't even know what alimony laws in my state are like, but I assume she'll happily live in a cardboard box under a bridge if Uber Eats will bring her food there. Yeah, I kind of feel like I saw that coming. I thought it was going to be another credit card of some point is what I thought initially. But one of those payday loans, oof. I've seen some crazy ass percentages on those things. And it definitely felt like, and as always, this isn't an excuse, just trying to find the reasons. It felt like some kind of like either addiction or mental health issue going on to want that takeaway that much. A commenter said to OP, I think divorce is the best course of action here. She needs professional help, but that's not your problem anymore. I'm glad you took steps to protect yourself financially. Sadly, there is just fundamentally something wrong with her, and soon she'll self-destruct, starting with a divorce. OP replies saying, when I paid off the payday loan, I decided that would be the last thing I ever did for her. It was far more than she deserved. My sister has been addicted to heroin for over 20 years. I haven't talked to her in about a decade, but this was the kind of shit that she would pull. I remember how she and her loser boyfriend would steal shit from my room to pawn so they could buy more drugs, and I honestly wouldn't put it past my wife at this point to start selling my things so she could buy more. Oh dear, here we go. I get to butcher this one once again. Chipotle? I'm sorry. I'm just so furious. As I worked every day, my wife sat around ordering takeout and living like a queen. And when the almost gravy train stopped, she decided to imperil our financial future for more food. And my God, she's gotten so fat. She's basically waddling around like a penguin now. But what really fucking pisses me off is that after taking out that payday loan, instead of putting it into a new account to order takeout, she went to the restaurant drive-thrus. It was almost as if stretch it to last as long as possible, which wasn't an issue when it was money that I earned. She knew that the payday loan was probably a one-time Hail Mary, so she actually, in her own twisted little way, tried to exercise financial responsibility. People in the last post yelled at me for not communicating. We'd fought about this dozens of times. Every time the credit card bill rolled in, I would tell her she needed to stop, that we were losing everything because of her habit. I told her again and again and again, but she didn't give a shit. She needed more of that garbage. I honestly don't give a fuck. If she's depressed, I don't care. If she's agoraphobic, which I doubt, I don't care. She has never shown even the slightest bit of remorse. Eventually, even my sister with a heroin-addled brain apologized for stealing my GameCube. My wife couldn't even do that. She's a lazy piece of shit faking a disability, and people were blaming me as if that absolved her of all wrongdoing. If it makes me an arsehole, fine. I'm not fucking up the rest of my life because some dim-witted sloth with a disability can only muster up the energy to get off her ass when it involves food she bought with money that someone else earned. Another commenter says, I'm sorry to read this update, OP. Given that she risked tanking her credit for something as dumb as a payday loan, it seems like this might be about more than takeout and could indicate a deeper emotional problem for her. I hope that she addresses it before her life unravels and that you find some peace after the separation. OP says, I honestly don't even care about her anymore. I'm actually kind of happy about the payday loan. You see, I read through every comment in the last post. All of them, and I tried to understand her feelings. People kept telling me that she had mental health issues or that she needed therapy. I did my best to understand, and I was actually going to start giving her $300 of prepaid credit card spending money every month as was suggested. Could we typically afford $300 a month on her takeout? Not really, no. but it would have